Hi, hello everyone. This is Pankaj. On this channel, I share practical tutorials on Java, Spring Boot, microservices, and DevOps based on real project experience. So, in the previous video, we went through the setup and a practical demo of Spring Boot and knew about the SQLite DB. In this video, we will implement full CRUD operations, create, read, update, and delete using Spring Data JPA with SQLite. So to configure with SQLite database in Spring Boot, you have to add certain configurations and you have to add Spring Data Source URL where your DB file will be created, locations, driver class name. We are using SQLite, so we are using SQLite related driver class name, and we are using another dialect, that SQLite dialect, and this dialect is available in org.hibernate.community.dialect.SQLite dialect. So I will tell you to why we are adding this dialect. And we are using spring.jpa.hibernate.ddl.auto equal to update, because whenever we will create at the rate entity class, so automatically our table will be created. That's fine. So now we are adding required dependency to connect with SQLite. So we added SQLite JDBC related dependency, and another one we are adding Hibernate community dialects. Actually, we are using SQLite dialect. So for the dialect, we have to add this dependency. So why this dependency is added? Actually, Hibernate 6 removed many database dialects from the core module, Hibernate core module. Those less commonly used or legacy database dialects are now moved to a separate library called Hibernate community dialects. Actually, this dependency provides additional database dialects classes that are not included in the main Hibernate package. So now, actually, SQLite database is a legacy. These are not part of Hibernate core package. That's why that is removed, but they are stored, they are available in this package. So in application.properties, if you are using that dialect, because in application.properties we were using this one, so we have to mention that dependency where this dialect will exist. Otherwise you will find, if you will not add that dependency for that configurations, so you will get the class not found exception. But if you are using MySQL 8 plus Postgres, Oracle, latest SQL Server H2, then you don't require this. But actually we are using SQLite due to lightweight, and only we have to do POC related uh, POC related programs. We have to prepare. We have to create the correct. We have to make the CRUD operations. Simply, we have to test our Spring Boot with the database. So we don't need to install heavyweight database. That's why we are using SQLite, which are lightweight and easy to use. So for that, you have to add this dependency. So what we have to do? We have to create. We have created the controller class. Now we have to create a entity class. So now we create a new package. Give the name entity, and here we will create a class user entity. Okay, and here you can give the name at the rate, sorry, at the rate entity. And if you want to give your, by default, if you're not giving any table name, so it will be, your table name will be user underscore entity. But if you want to give a specific name, you can use table annotations, and you can give the name equal to what you want to give. So name equal to what you want to give. User, user details, user info. Okay, So now we create an endpoint to test the SQLite database. So what we have to do, we have to create, we have created the controller class. Now we have to create a entity class. So now we create a new package, we give the name entity, and here we will create a class user entity. Okay, and here you can give the name at the rate, sorry, at the rate entity. And if you want to give your, by default, if you're not giving any table name, so it will be, your table name will be user underscore entity. But if you want to give a specific name, you can use table annotations, and you can give the name equal to what you want to give. So name equal to what you want to give, user, user details, user info. Okay, that's fine. And what you want to keep, so we have to give any field name. So I want one ID should be there, so ID will, we can keep it as long, and it will be ID. And but what I want, that ID should be auto generated, so we have ID annotations of 500 or ID. Okay, and I want that it should be auto generated, so we have a generated value, right? So now we can give the strategy to how it should be identity, or we have different type of auto generated this, what could be the generation type, we have multiple generation type actually, sequence, identity. So now I want to give auto, so I use identity, so now it's ID. Now I want to give name of user, private string user name, and only password, that's all. Later we will do multiple things with this. Private string password, user password, user password. Now I want to use this username password, I have to insert into the database using SQLite DB. So I have to, either we have to create this as it's a private field, so either we have to make the setter getter, or we have at the rate data annotations, lombok. Okay, lombok we required. So what we can do here, we can use one dependency I have to add. So dependency is lombok dependency you can explore, and we can add in pom.xml. Here we can add, we can upload the maven, refresh the maven. So now you can add the data, it will be automatically imported, right? So now we have entity, and now I have to create a, I have to save that database in our controller directly. I use here what I do, but yeah, we need one more thing, but we will do it later. So it's before, simply in our controller class we have to, actually what we have to do, we have to save the database in our SQLite DB. So what I will do, I have to create a repository first, because I don't want to write any query. It should be JPA, Java Perspective Annotations. So now I create one more package, that is repository, no, repo, and in repository we will create a class, and name should be user repository, simply user repository. here in user repository we have to extend what JPA repository. JPA, JPA, JPA. Okay, I have to add one more dependency, JPA, because we are doing JPA related operations, inserting DB and CRUD operations we have to perform simply. So JPA, Spring Data JPA, explore, and I can select this dependency, right, and add in our pom.xml. Where is pom.xml? Here it is. So here we can add dependency and simply refresh. It will be refreshed, then now you can search repository, and I have a class name that is user entity. User entity, right? User entity, and ID is type of long. Okay, now it's automatically fetched it. That's fine. But in suggestions it was not coming. I don't know why. I think we have to check in IntelliJ. It's not coming automatically, but yeah, that's fine. So currently I don't want to create my own methods, so we are using the existing JPA methods. So in our controller, I come into the controller. I'm not going to do, just I am to check. I have to check the DB connections, how we are making the connections Spring Boot with SQLite. So simply what I will do, now I have created the repository. I annotate it, private final, and name it user repository. User repository. That's fine. It's final now. Through constructor dependency injections, I injected it. Also, you can use auto-wide, but I like it's a standard, so I'm using this one. And it also helps in JUnit, because if you are using auto wiring in JUnit multiple times, you face it means issues. So it's best practice use constructor dependency injections. So what I have to do, just I want to save. That's fine. So how we can do? Simply I write public string or test SQLite. That's all. And if it's a controller, so we have to give the name to @get mapping, and we are testing, so simply test SQLite, and here we can do user entity. I'm going to create the object equal to new user entity. That's all. That's right. And u dot, not u, it should be proper naming convention, the user. So simply user dot set username. I give code to cloud x, and user dot set password. It's also string item 345 anything. That's all. And what I am doing, the user repository, right, dot save. So now I am using the JPA method simply. I am not going to do anything. Simply I am inserting my user. That's all. So here actually I'm not writing any it means post mapping, delete mapping, or port mapping. I'm not using. Simply just I'm checking the connections between Spring Boot and SQLite. So what I can do, I have simply check therefore dot user dot count, and you can find out the details, and I can return that. This simply what I can do, long count equal to, and I return SQLite 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 each working, and total user and simply I want to print the count. That's all. That I will return when I will do get mapping. So I will get this message. So at the end, what I am returning, the message. But yeah, in between, what I am doing, I am creating the user entity and I am saving. So later we will do it automatically. I will not create the object, and we will not do it. So we will do the proper CRUD operations. So just here we are checking. So I think I did all the required details. User controller we created. We have repository we have created. Entity class we have created. Now we check simply. So what I have to do, we start. So server has started, and that db file is created on that location. So now this user.db file we have to configure in our SQLite database. Now we have to select the database which has already created. To add a database, here we are choosing select an existing database file. We are selecting this one, test connections. Okay. So now firstly we will check is there any record exist. Table has created user underscore info. ID by default will create, and username password is already created. Now check is there any record in this table right now. Generate query, select and click. So currently we don't have any record. Now test through browser. Total user 1. Okay. So now check into the SQLite Studio. So again we will click here. So you can check that one record has created. So now we will do complete CRUD operations using Spring Data JPA this time. In next video, we will implement full CRUD operations, create, read, update, and delete using Spring Data JPA. So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Thank you.